Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name's Derry. I am the CEO and co-founder here at OneUp. And first and foremost, thank you for sticking with us through a few tech issues there. First time hosting things out on LinkedIn as well as YouTube, a real multi-stream on the go. So we had a few things to work through, but that is now done and dusted. So welcome to our first webinar of its kind. This is a commission management product preview. Now, for those who've been following us particularly closely for the last few months, we've done a few little teasers along the way that this was in work. And today we want to share a little bit more with you guys around what is coming. So producer Callum, take us to the next slide, please. In fact, it's not even you doing it, it's me. Here I am, not having control of my own webinar, go figure. So as I said, first and foremost, welcome. What I really want to do today is take you through a few different bits and bobs. We've got two others joining us on the call as well. There is Chris Aitken, who's the VP Sales here at OneUp, and Alex, who's our Head of Product. So two very, very experienced individuals with tons to share about this as well. In today's webinar, I want to go through a few things. Here's the agenda for you. First and foremost, a quick look to the future of OneUp. If you're a user of OneUp today, you want to know a bit more about our roadmap, what we're thinking about over the next 12 to 18 months, this one's for you. You're going to absolutely love it. We'll then take a look at why we started working on a commission management product. For us, we've always done TV displays, competitions, reporting, that sort of thing. Why commission management, some of you may be asking. We'll answer the question there. The next one, we'll take a look through a few of our customers and those that we've spoken to around what are your pains around commission? What have you shared with us? Alex will then give you a little walkthrough of the product itself so you can see some of the stuff we're working on right now that will be coming out in Q1. And if you then have some interest in getting involved, getting on our waitlist, for example, we'll talk to a little more about that towards the end of this session. So first and foremost, the future of OneUp. As I said, this is something I think a lot of you that are existing users today will be really interested in hearing more about. The way that we're looking at framing this in the future is building ourselves into being a holistic sales performance management platform, or if you're a recruiter, a recruitment performance management platform. Take your pick. The whole idea behind that is that we want to help you to really effectively understand and drive performance inside of your team. And that can be done in a number of ways, whether it's analytics and reporting, whether it's gamification and commission management, as you're seeing today. And that really takes shape in this sort of spectrum that we built out there between these two extremes. One side being leaning towards managers and leaders who really want to understand performance, and then more angled towards the rep or the consultant at the other end on the drive side of things. Today, as you know, OneUp, it is a complete holistic solution. You pay one price, you get everything included, and that is the way that OneUp has always been. What we're looking at in the future is moving to something that I've dubbed internally the Lego strategy, where, to give a small anecdote, if you think about when you go out there and buy Lego, assuming that you enjoy collecting Lego, maybe your kids do, it's entirely up to you which way you want to take this analogy. You'll go out there and buy the sets that you like. You'll build things in the way that you want to. So it's trying to find this difference between build versus buy, where you aren't having to go out there and buy a whole solution for yourself, or you're having to buy everything as I have to have the lot, even if you're only going to use 30% of the products. We'd like you to be able to build a solution that works for you by grabbing the modules that fit for your stage of business. As an example, in the early days, you might really want to be able to drive a high energy environment, and Gamify is right for you. As you get to say 25 heads, managing commission inside spreadsheets, it starts to suck. And we'll talk more about that in a minute, but maybe you pick it up there. And as you go later down the line, as the company becomes more sophisticated, as the team scales out, maybe you start leaning into deep analytics and things that you can't do inside of OneUp today. So loads more to talk about on that side. We'll be doing more webinars like these throughout next year. That's my commitment to it today, to share more about what we're working on, what we're starting to think about, and how you can get involved with helping shape the future of OneUp. Today, though, as said, we are here to talk about commission, what we've named compensate internally. Name not final, may well change, but today we're calling it compensate. And this is, as we've said, is all to do with managing commission inside of a target-driven team. So first and foremost, before I hand over to Alex, why build a commission tool at all? This is something that's really quite pertinent to us because a bunch of research we did into ultimately where does commission sit as a motivator for salespeople? There was a sliding scale of 5 things that really influence someone's tendency to lean towards a particular job when they're out there looking for a new sales role. And the top 3 things that came on that list was management effectiveness. Are managers effective? Are they doing a good job of coaching them, of leading them, things like that? Second was company culture. What was the company culture like beyond just the sales manager? What was it like to work in? What were their colleagues like? Things along those lines. 2 things that we already help with today around helping managers with reporting and around the whole gamification angle for celebrating deal flashes on our TVs or running sales competitions. The third one, you guessed it, was commission. That's something we haven't really touched all that much today, but as the third point on this slide points out, a couple of our clients have done things like setting up metrics where they've said, can we take our revenue metric and divide it by 10? Because we do 10% commission on all revenue closed. That will show our team how much commission they've made. So even without a feature being built specifically around commission, we've already seen some customers making use of this today. And also internally, we live this pain every day. We're a startup, we're growing. I manage a lot of our commission month on month through spreadsheets that we've got. I've built out custom tools internally, used to be a developer. So we've lived this pain ourselves literally day by day by day. And I'm really glad to say that so far the commission tool we've built has picked up 3 errors over the last few months. I've sat there and gone, oh man, I'm going to have to go and tell someone I've got to take some money off them. Or in even better news, we've got money that we owe them. So it really has proved helpful so far, and it will surprise no one when we say that salespeople are very, very driven by commission. As said, it's one of those top 3 things that people think about when they're going into a new role. But I could sit here and keep on talking. It's more about hearing from those that have been involved in this at a deeper level. So what I really want to do is hand over to Alex to do a little bit of talking around this and what we've learned whilst doing some research around commission at OneUp.
Thank you, Derry, and hello, everybody. So we've obviously been in the motivation game for quite some time now. We've seen a lot of stories. If you've chatted to any of our customer success managers, they've likely advised you on how to best incentivize your staff. But we've really started to see a common theme. Next slide, please, Derry.
I got you.
So over the years, we've heard countless times the pains that companies have trying to motivate their staff. And this is what we commonly see happen. They'll notice that some performance has dipped. They might use a tool like the Matrix to identify this. And they'll think, okay, what can we actually do to impact that? How can we start to drive performance back up and to the right again? So they'll launch an incentive. Now, I'm not here to poo-poo incentives and say that they're a waste of time. They absolutely have a really important place in any sales or recruitment team, but they're not always the golden goose. They're not always going to get that activity to consistently stay high. So what we'll normally see is just after an incentive launch, activity levels will naturally increase. Everybody's got the buzz, everybody either wants to go on that lunch club or they really want to go on that end of year trip. But what you'll find is sooner rather than later, those activity levels will start to drip off. When people start forgetting about the competition or they start realizing that they're not going to win it anyway because they're the middle of the field, you actually notice that the effectiveness of those incentives massively goes down. Ultimately, what we found through a lot of research, and it kind of sounds common sense, it doesn't really take a lot of research, is money matters a lot to salespeople and recruitment people. It's one of the primary motivators that they have in their role. The problem is commission calculation today is not only error prone, it's also manual, and it also lacks any visibility for the end biller or consultant, which means there's a massive missed opportunity for motivation. And that's why you see this cycle repeat, because again and again, we just rely on incentives to try and do that job, when actually there could well be something better that we can do to solve that problem. So we spoke to a wide range of companies about the topic of commission, both big and small, both in recruitment and in general sales. And we really distilled this down to 3 main pains that we found. So first up is that manual commission is error prone. Now, we're all human and we're all going to make errors. And errors in the commission process actually really affect people's lives. Like, that is how much they are taking out, how much they're ultimately going to get paid. And you don't want to deal with that payday that comes around where you should be excited, but instead you're chasing up finance on why they're being paid the wrong amount, or even worse, you actually end up getting money taken back off you. That's not the sort of motivation that we want for our end individuals. Now, the great thing about computers is, given that the input is always the same, they are always going to give you the same result. That means they can be completely error prone right from the start, so that you avoid those horrible situations where things are wrong on payday. Nobody wants that. Secondly, we've got lacking visibility. Now, I touched on this a bit on the previous slide, but commonly we find that companies will either pay out on a monthly or sometimes a quarterly basis. But the problem with this is you have to wait either a whole month or a whole quarter, at minimum a whole month, in order for you to understand how much you've earned. Now, for the lucky few and for the few that are actually going to put the effort into this, they might have their own spreadsheet. That's all very well and good, but that takes a lot of time to update that spreadsheet. And ultimately, it only raises that barrier of entry for people to be motivated in their job. Commission and visualizing your earnings should be for everybody, not just the select few that know how to do it. And last but not least, we have complexity scales as the company scales. And one of the really interesting things that we found from, like I said, talking to companies big and small, is that for smaller companies, To be honest, the commission process isn't all that painful, at least on the calculation side. They're happy with their spreadsheet. Maybe they've got, between 5 to 15 people. They can plug the numbers in monthly and it's relatively okay. Everyone's on the same plan. However, what they really care about is understanding the visualization side of things. They want their individuals to be able to understand in real time how much they're earning. But if we look to companies of a larger size, all of a sudden, we see this problem absolutely blow out of proportion, because then you've got 100 plus people. You've likely got everybody on a mixture of different plans. So here we've got Mark at Loxo saying, yeah, commission is what people are chasing. Obviously, promotion and progression too. But at the end of the day, it's commission. It's what's going to excite and motivate people. So exactly like I was saying before, commission is that primary motivator, and stopping people from seeing it, all it's doing is removing that opportunity for motivation. And if that wasn't enough, we've also got Sam Cheshire at Plan Day, who has said, when it comes to motivating the team, next slide, please, Derry. When it comes to motivating the team, they all want to know how much commission they're on. I have a spreadsheet that they use every month to see the conversion rate and how much they've earned is in there. But you are looking at that once a week in a one-to-one, not on a visual board. And that, again, hammers home that point. If it's not real time, there's a massive missed opportunity there for motivation. So making it real time, super, super important. And last but not least, we've got Adam Blaney from Exceed. And this is around that topic of complexity scaling as the company scales. So Adam said, pulling data from multiple sources combined with various commission schemes to apply any clawback takes a lot of time to process on a monthly basis. If there was a solution within an existing product we already have, then I'm sure it would be a benefit. So next, I'm going to hand over back to Derry, who's going to talk to Chris in a fireside chat. So take it away, Derry.
And don't worry, guys, I promise not to hold you here for half an hour whilst me and Chris have a chit chat about the normal things that we might talk about. It's not one of those. But really, I thought what was really a good thing to share here was Chris's experience before he came to us was managing teams the world over, 50 plus reps all around the world, across America, Europe, APAC. The stories we heard about him jumping around and just making sure motivation was being maintained is one side of it, but commission obviously is another. So I thought there was some really good insights to share here. So first question for you then, Chris, to sort of talk through is, you've again managed pretty big teams. Commission, no doubt, was a massive part of that to keep people motivated, to keep them enrolled, for example. How valuable has a commission scheme been in keeping people on side and motivated?
Yeah, I mean, it's the ultimate driver, isn't it? Let's face it, we're all pretty mercenary when it comes to our careers. We primarily work for financial reward. Don't get me wrong, there's other elements around status, enjoyability, respect, satisfaction. I mean, it all plays a pretty big part in our working lives. But at the end of the day, we're all financially motivated. And it can be for various reasons. Like some of us work to provide for the best lives for our families, some to enable our lifestyles, some because we've just got really big, ambitious financial goals, and so on. But ultimately, it comes down to the fact that money creates opportunity in life, and recruitment, similar to sales roles, further kind of accentuates this because it breaks up our earnings into chunks. Commission isn't just a bonus. It's not some additional reward for doing our jobs. It's literally the other half of our salary. Our base makes up part of this, sure, but the commission is the other. And Alex kind of talked about this earlier, incentives can be great at kind of creating that short burst of increased activity. But what creates that constant, that consistent performance is having the understanding that the effort we put in directly translate to money earned. It's the beauty of recruitment and sales jobs. It's meritocratic in multiple forms.
Awesome. And for you, when you used to manage this back at your previous companies, what did this look like? What kind of involvement did you have in commission management? How much of a pain did it cause for you back then as well?
A lot, to say it kind of lightly. I think I've managed all sorts of kind of teams. I think I've worked for all sorts of businesses, from kind of small startups, scale ups, through to enterprise scale. And one thing that I think has definitely been a challenge across the board in getting commission right in terms of calculation and payout, I think was a major one when you're dealing with so many different geos and teams. But it's also kind of creating, I guess, that better understanding for reps in terms of what should they be earning? What are they actually earning? And I've seen these challenges in all reality, they tend to actually compound quite a lot as the organization's larger, in scale. So, for example, when I've run teams, you mentioned this earlier, around kind of multiple geographics, and you've got multiple teams and in some cases commission structures, which is what I had in a previous role. The kind of complexity of making sure everyone is getting paid correctly was definitely a real hassle. You've got, or me in this case, multiple managers kind of cross-checking their reps' performance data in a CRM, then putting this into commission spreadsheets, sending them up the chain to regional heads of sales that I had underneath me, who would then send this on to me as the kind of global head to do a final check to make sure everything was correct, accurate before submitting to finance. And this entailed, just to give you some idea, each level of manager checking deals individually to make sure, deal amounts were correct. There weren't weird terms in place, which meant that we weren't paying out commissions straight away, were there split deals and so on. And I'm sure you can kind of imagine this was a real headache, with so much human input, that just leaves so much room for human error. And while sure, I could usually catch the errors, there were definitely times where something slipped through, it slipped through the cracks and we underpaid or we overpaid someone and then had to rectify that, which in turn impacts the culture and it creates this level of distrust, which is the last thing you want. Because the moment reps feel like they can't trust the system in getting paid right, which is why they work, this then leads to a drop in motivation. And let's be honest, it's bloody hard to pick up the phone and cold call to get new business in the pipeline day in, day out. So when you combine this with this almost feeling motivated or not feeling motivated to do so because of maybe an issue with your comms, you can imagine the result. It would often lead to reps in some circumstances, even end of the month, end of the quarter, downing tools and then spending time themselves on their own little mini calculators they built out, double checking to see if they were getting paid correctly rather than doing their jobs. And that's a real issue. Ultimately, the more time we can get people fixated on the things that creates revenue in any form of revenue role is kind of imperative. And on top of that, when you're looking away from the impact on the reps, the hours spent by managers and by me in doing this meant that we were spending so much time checking data, manually checking commissions every month, rather than actually being able to focus on the things that matter, like the stuff that would genuinely drive the business forward.
And I know we've 100% had a headache ourselves over the last few months. The number of back and forths I've had with finance about, is that correct? Oh, that formula looks a bit off. Oh, the target number wasn't set right in that cell up there to calculate it out automatically. It's been an absolute headache. And this is probably the most loaded question in the world, but it's our webinar. We can get away with it. How have you found the product has helped with some of this over the last few months? Because I know we've been using it a little bit in test while it's been going through its initial development phases. As said earlier, for me, it helped us catch 3 errors, and I've come to you a little bit tail between my legs like, yeah, Chris, you're kind of underpaid one of you guys. I'm really sorry about that. But it showed that the product has been helping us catch things that we've missed out with our manual process, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously we're in beta currently, so it's an early iteration, but not to kind of blow smoke here with Alex, who's the product manager builder of this. I do genuinely wish I'd had this at some of my previous companies. It's turned what historically has been a several hours, or in some cases, days process into minutes. Like commission for me is no longer this kind of end of the month chore, and it always was a chore. Now it's being updated in real time every day over the course of the entire commission period, meaning I'm not backtracking. I've got a choice as well where I can dip in and out as and when I want and when I've got time, and then also do a review at the end of the month. And I guess more than that, it's from a rep perspective, commission is no longer a bit of a dark art. Now it's actually quite clear in terms of visibility of what are they earning, rather than having to wait for their paycheck to come through and either running manual kind of calculation their side or just trusting that hopefully it's right. And it's a powerful motivator. This in itself is such a strong motivator as it stems back to kind of what I mentioned earlier on, like commission is the primary driver for performance. And as you mentioned, Darry, like we've caught 2 or 3 kind of issues with our own internal kind of commission calculations running on spreadsheets where we've overpaid, underpaid reps. And realistically, like, do we think that we would actually caught this without the tool? Probably not in reality. So overall, yeah, I'd say it's been a great rollout, and it's really going to form quite an integral part of our tech stack going forward.
Love it. Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate you taking 5 minutes to go through that as well. Thank you. I imagine everyone listening is probably dead keen to see a little bit more about what we're actually working on. So Alex, back over to you again. It's like throwing back to Alex at the weather station. I love it. Go for it.
Yeah, the weather up here is not good. I can confirm that.
UK, mate, it's not good anywhere.
Very true. So I'm sure the bit that you've all been waiting for, the product preview. But before we jump straight into looking at some pretty visuals, I want to take you through how we've kind of conceptually thought about structuring this product. So the product will have three main parts to it. We've got calculate, we've got manage, and we've got earnings. And we're going to go through these in a little bit more detail. But essentially, calculate, we bring your data in and we use that data to calculate commission. Manage, for you as either a finance person or a leader, you can really manage commission across your entire sales or recruitment org. And then last but not least is what I've been talking about so much through this webinar is all around earnings, being able to visualize that commission. And we really see this being something for the biller and consultant to look at. So let's go a little bit deeper on calculate specifically. So if there's one thing that OneUp is very, very good at, it's pulling data from a wide range of different sources into OneUp and using that combination to really power some really good insights within the business. Well, today we're stepping a little bit beyond that, just in terms of looking at the insights. We're stepping into the game of helping you calculate your commission. So we pull all of that data in, we process it in our commission calculator, and we funnel that straight into compensate for you to be able to manage your commission, which brings me perfectly on to the next part, which is manage. So manage is your dashboard or tool, I guess you could say, for a leader or a manager. And really what this page is all about is being able to see commission from across the entirety of your organization. So you'll see it for every single user. You'll be able to see what they've earned. You'll be able to see the individual deals and essentially get a check for what's going on in the company at that time. From here, you'll be able to approve records either on a user by user basis or a deal by deal basis, however you go about doing commission. And then last but not least, not that you can see it on this screenshot here, but we've actually gone a level deeper. And you can open the sidebar on each of these records and you can really understand how have we actually generated each of those commission records. And we've got a ridiculously beautiful graph, which you will get to see when you join the pilot.
Well, that's such a tease, isn't it?
Can't give it them all today. Cool. So on to earnings. So again, this is that view that I've been talking about for the all-important visualizations for the end consultant. And much like the dashboard on OneUp is the home of where people go to look at their data, we've got an earnings dashboard here where people will be able to come on, consultants and billers will be able to come on, and they'll be able to very, very simply see how much commission have they earned in the current billing period. But it doesn't just stop there. As you can see with that beautiful bar chart that we've got there, they can also get a sense check of how much have they earned over the year. Something that I've commonly seen when talking to individuals about the commission is they kind of want to outrank themselves. It's very common in recruitment and in sales to want to beat that next person in terms of like the number of deals done or placements made. But actually, you're always in competition against yourself as well. And this bar chart is perfect for that. You always want to be looking to get another high month, beat your previous record. And this allows you to do that really easily. And then last but not least, it's actually cut off in this screenshot at the bottom. Again, you'll see it if you join the pilot. But we've also made it simple for you to understand where you are in your current commission plan. Obviously, with a commission plan, you have your different tiers. And at the different tiers, you'll unlock your different commission percentages. We make it easy for you to understand how much have you got to do until you enter that next tier. So you can pace yourself and understand when you're going to start earning that 20, 30, 40, and so on. And that is it from the product preview.
Obviously, there's tons more that we really want to share with you guys as well, but even as you may have seen on the previous slide screenshot as well, there's a lot of work we're still doing on this for us, changing things around seemingly daily at the moment. There's always new things coming up. So what you'll probably see from us over the next couple of months on LinkedIn, across our emails to our customer base as well, is updates on what we're working on here, inviting you to get involved, which very nicely leads me on to joining the waitlist. Now, we aren't yet ready to go live with this just today. As you can see, it's in a pretty good spot. We've got some really good stuff on there that is already providing value for those that are in our closed pilot. We've got 4 customers live and using this today, with about 6 more going live over the next month or so. If you want to get involved with this, we're not yet ready to take it fully commercially launched, but we're looking for people to help us test this out, get on board, talk about your plans with us so we can build this kind of stuff into OneUp. You can sign up today at bit.ly/commission-2024. You'll also have the link posted inside a chat in just a moment as well if you want to make use of that rather than typing it out yourself. But as I said, we're really keen to get the largest variety of plans that we can see to make sure we can build this into the tool, that we can take your feedback on board when looking to flesh this out further and further. And it's going to be a really exciting Q1 for us to get this in people's hands and start rolling it out later into next year. As said, this is really just the first stepping stone towards this more modular approach that we're taking towards the OneUp platform. We're starting with commission, but over the next 12 to 18 months, we'll be going back over the whole platform and looking at how we can not only rebuild certain parts of the platform, but really redefine them with this 8 years worth of experience that we've built up from building the product and talking to customers day in, day out over that whole time period. So there is absolutely loads to look forward to. I really hope you've enjoyed seeing some of the preview today. Again, if you want to get involved, get yourself on the wait list, reach out to someone at OneUp. We're always more than happy to talk about these things. And hopefully we'll see you guys on board next year. But for now, thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much, Alex. Really enjoyed your input throughout this conversation. And hopefully speak to many of you at home later on. Have a wonderful evening and catch you all later.